Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to share my top 5 must-haves for quilting and sewing. So these are items that I use every time I sew, every time I cut my fabric, and they are just necessities in my opinion. So let's get started and I'll show you the first one. Okay, so the first thing I recommend is a good ruler, but more importantly is this really nice grippy thing that goes on your ruler. So these are actually meant to go in the shower as like an extra handle, but they have these big suction cups and you just unclip it and they come off super easy, so you can put them on multiple rulers and reuse them, and then you can stick them back on and put the clips down and they stick really well. So why I like this is I cut fabric for a living and I have never ever had an issue with cutting myself with my rotary cutter, which is huge. So it holds it really still too, and it cuts in a really good straight line. You don't have your wobbly hands or fingers or anything. And mainly it just gets your fingers out of the way from your rotary blade, which is super important. So I really love this. This is one of my favorite things to have. The second item I love is this OmniGrid rotating cutting mat. So as you can see, it spins, and this is super helpful when you are cutting and trimming half square triangles, half rectangle triangles, anything, because you don't have to constantly be moving it on your mat and wasting time. You can just quickly spin your mat whichever way you need. So I really love this. They come in tons of different sizes. I have the 8-inch here, and I think it's the perfect size. I've never needed anything bigger. So I always reach for my rotating cutting mat, and I always thought it was like an excessive thing, that why would you need to buy that? And then I got one and I was like, wow, this is really nice and really handy. So definitely recommend that. The next item I love and recommend is a really good pair of fabric scissors. So these are Fiskars. I've had them, this is my only pair of fabric scissors I've ever had. I've had it for probably 4 or 5 years, never needed to get them sharpened, and they have been really great. That's the other thing. I didn't know that you could get scissors sharpened. I thought you just would have to buy new scissors, but you can get them sharpened for reasonably cheap. So definitely go that route when you need them sharpened, but I love my Fiskars scissors. Going along with that, you also need a pair of little small, really sharp snips. So I love these ones because they're beautiful, but also they are incredibly handy. So the sharper the better. They cut just to have handy with your sewing, next to your sewing machine when you're chain piecing, cutting threads, whatever. I always love these because they're super pointed at the end. When I finished a quilt and you go through and trim the extra threads, you can get super close to the base and make them non-existent. So you definitely need a pair of little sharp snips. Another necessity, in my opinion, is a really good seam ripper. So any seam ripper will do, but this one is my favorite by far. You can see how cool it is. This one is from Riley Blake, and the owner of Riley Blake actually designed this herself. So you can use it multiple ways. You can put your finger on it like this, flip it around, do it this way. So it's just really handy, and it cuts super easy. So I have to reach for this more than I'd like to admit, but I am super glad I have it because it works really well. Okay, the last item that is necessary when you're quilting is a really good walking foot to go on your sewing machine. So for the longest time, I didn't have a walking foot and I just used my regular sewing foot to quilt straight lines, and I was always getting puckered fabric, puckered edges, you know, like when I would do a crosshatch grid quilting pattern, they would always have puckering and overlapping no matter how well I basted it, no matter how I basted it. And I was getting so frustrated. But then I got my new machine and it came with this, so I decided to try it. It basically is just a really cool foot that helps walk the fabric through your machine, hence the name walking foot. And I have never had any puckering with this. and it creates really, really smooth lines. It's just the best tool in my opinion. Mine also came with this handy bar, so you can shorten it and lengthen it, which is nice because when you're quilting something, you just have to mark one straight line on your quilt. And then depending if you want them 1 inch apart, 2 inches apart, you just put this line on, tighten it down, or this attachment on, and then you follow the first quilting line you made with this ruler, and it'll give you perfectly straight lines. So super handy. I love this thing so much. So I would love to know what your guys' must-haves are for quilting, and if there's any new supplies I need to try. I always love trying new supplies and finding new gadgets and stuff. I will link all of these below. They are all in my Amazon storefront. So I'll leave that link down below. I also have some supplies in my fabric shop if you'd like to check those out. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you found them useful, and please let me know if you have any of these, if you love them, or if you try any of them and what you think of them. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.